Hello everybody, and welcome back to, firstly, another video of keeping you company if you need it, my little series of videos, sort of more chilled out, podcast style videos where you can just stick this on if you're doing chores or trying to sleep or in whatever situation you want. If you don't want to watch along, you want to listen along, that's fine. If you want to watch along too, you can do so. And also got another American Truck Simulator for you. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to European Truck Simulator or stick with America. I was like, oh, let's just stick with America for a little bit. I've already picked a job, so we'll go off and pick up the delivery, and we can just chat as we go along. So yeah, apologies again if you're just tuning in and going, ooh, maybe the game doesn't look as good as you'd expect it to. My laptop is not the most powerful, so I've had to turn down sort of the graphics ends a little bit just so I have a smoother recording for you all. So I thought that would be the right thing to do. So yeah, we're in Texas. I think what we're going to do today is we're going to do a couple of short runs rather than one long one, just so we can experience a little bit more of Texas. There are going to be some more states coming out soon. I don't know when yet. I don't think they've confirmed any dates. They've got Nebraska in the works, and got Missouri in the works. So we should try and explore a little bit of Texas until... Oh, not until. Before the new states come out. I haven't actually played this game for about a month, which is a bit ridiculous. I think the last time I played was actually the last video I did for you guys. It's been quite a busy month. Which I'll get into in a second. Yeah, the month of April passed by very fast, and I suddenly realized, oh goodness me, it's already a few days into May, and I haven't recorded a keeping you company video. So here we are. So we're in Eastern Texas right now. I can't remember exactly where we are. That's pretty bad. We're going to Laredo, I assume is how you pronounce it. So we're going to go through quite a lot of Texas here. I'll show on the map before we get underway. Might quickly check the graphics settings 1 second. It looks worse than usual. Maybe I'm... Oh, that's the wrong setting. There was once all the graphics reset on me. No, seems all as I thought it was going to be. It's just me then. Yeah, I can't turn it up anymore, otherwise it's just I'm going to get encoding lag. My laptop is not the most powerful, so trying to run this and then record, it kind of struggles a little bit. I've closed down everything else. I literally have nothing else open apart from OBS in the game. Fortunately, I've been a bit of an idiot. I've hidden my stats screen on OBS, so I can't see there's encoding lag, so I have to hope it's working okay. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a good April. It's been, yeah, it's busy with me. Very quick month. So also then with the Easter break and such. Oh, I missed the green light. Oops. Right. Another traffic reset. I'll spawn again in a second.
Stay right.
So yeah, that's it. Not perfect graphic settings, but that's fine. Where are we turning right up here? Yeah. I think we're taking lumber today, if I remember rightly, and we have to yield. Okay. And I can't see what's coming before I've already turned the corner.
Stay left, and then exit left.
What's been happening? The main thing, obviously, in terms of Fury of Dracula news, which in case you don't know, Fury of Dracula is the main thing that I kind of focus on in terms of gaming and my channel. If you don't know anything about it, it is a board game based upon, well, it's not based upon, inspired by the Bram Stoker novel. It's basically asymmetric movement deduction game. You've got 4 hunters who are trying to chase Dracula around Europe, but Dracula's movement is hidden. But it's not just trying to catch Dracula, trying to land on his space or anything. You've got to try to kill him. So there's combat involved with sort of a rock paper scissors style thing. There's deduction, resource management, all that sort of stuff. It's a really nice little game. A bit niche, hasn't got widespread appeal, but got into it a couple of years ago, and especially through the digital edition. I first discovered it thanks to Tabletop, which is the Will Wheaton series on YouTube, which I recommend everybody to check out. And yeah, discovered the digital edition. I've been really involved with that community. Tournament organizer over there. And we've actually expanded in the last few weeks. I can't remember if I said that in the previous video or not, but we've now recently expanded where I've got 2 more admin working alongside me. And even though I've got 2 admin working alongside me, I feel like I'm working more than ever. But I think it's just because I'm trying to get them up to speed, and also just I'm really infused about the game at the moment. Yeah, once the 2 admin are fully on board, then I'll be able to sort of take a back seat. Nice. So we all share out the responsibility. It's great to have all that sort of activity in the community. So yeah, the big thing with Fury of Dracula is they've recently done an update to the game. It's actually still in beta as of the time of recording. But we've had a lot of really... the update has been fantastic. They've been fixing bugs with it, quality of life improvements in terms of how the interface works, and also a lot of the rules of the game have been brought more in line with what the physical edition of the game is. So it's just been fantastic to see all of that, and there's just so much enthusiasm and energy in the community. We'll be providing lots of feedback. They haven't just given us the update and then got, right, there you go then. That's your lot. We've been giving feedback, and because they've got developers who are sort of available at the moment to work on it, they've been able then to respond to all of our feedback and add additional features, or if there's a bug that's been created, they'll fix it. It's been amazing stuff. I'm going to do a little cheeky plug here. I know on these videos I don't normally plug my own videos, but there's one, again, podcast style, which might be of interest to some of you. I sat down and had a conversation with 2 of the amazing team at Nomad Games, who are the company who developed the digital edition of Fury of Dracula, as well as other games, including the Catan console edition and Talisman, and they've also got their own title coming out soon called Board Game Cafe, which I'm very excited about as well. There's the lumber, so I'm going to turn around. So I sat down with the marketing developer, Tom, and Eridra, who's one of the video game developers. That was quite a shunt. I just realised the volume went up really loudly when I did that. Yeah, so I sat down with Tom, marketing developer, and Eridra, who's one of the video game developers who worked with this new update of the game. And it was a great little chat. This is where we are. We are in Texarkana, I assume is how you pronounce it, and we're going to go down through Texas here, through Dallas, which is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to bypass Fort Worth, though. Waco, Austin, San Antonio we've seen before. And then we're going to go just outside of Laredo. And if there's anywhere along the way that we can stop for maybe some photographic scenery, we can maybe do that. So we'll do that, which won't be a very long drive, and then we can then potentially do another one, depending on time. So off we go. Just got some lumber here. 20 tons of lumber. Not the most exciting load, but... I'll try and remember how to drive this thing. Yeah, so I sat down with them, and we had a good over 2-hour chat about, you know, sort of their history with the game, but also then talking about the update in terms of, you know, me from a community and player and tournament admin perspective, them from marketing, them from developing side, all the little things that happen behind the scenes that you wouldn't know about otherwise. It was a really nice chat. We didn't have enough time to talk about everything. There's just so many things with this update. after about 2.25 hours, we were like, yeah, we have to stop now. It's been fantastic. And it's also been really nice too, because recently Erager has been able to actually hop in and watch some games that we've been playing. And we've actually unfortunately had a couple of bugs, but then he's seen them happen live and then has been able to sort of, try and fix them and things. And so it's really nice also seeing that Nomad hopping on and trying to, watch us play games, and they're just getting involved with everything. It's fantastic. We're actually running a tournament. I probably would have said this in the previous episode, I don't remember now. Yeah, we're running a tournament at the moment using the update, partly as a bug discovery exercise. We were going to be playing games of the update anyway, but if there's a proper tournament, it means they're guaranteed that the games being scheduled and played, and also the fact it'll be played under a tournament environment. People were going to be, trying out lots of different things to try to win. And we'll be able to see like the true effect of bugs in terms of, are they really detrimental or not in friendly games, because people might be playing a little bit more fast and loose. They're not going to be thinking so deeply about certain things, potentially, which would mean then if bugs do arise or wherever, then they won't have as much impact. We'll be able to sort of measure the impact of the bugs in terms of how many games have been truly disrupted because of certain bugs, depending on what bugs there are. So, obviously we want to win the tournament, but at the same time, it's, we're aware that games could end and might have to get replayed and stuff. We've already had 2 games which ended in bugs, unfortunately, but both of them, the result was not in doubt, so we were able just to say, yeah, this is definitely the result. Or the players have been able to negotiate an outcome between the two of them rather than replay, which is fine. It's not a normal tournament, but this is really good. It's also for us too that we can do a lot of testing in terms of the meta, seeing how the meta shifts, which is just, as a community, that's very interesting to see. And then also, for us, the last few tournaments, the win rate between Hunters and Dracula have been pretty much 50-50. So we're going to see now, is it really going to be 50-50, or is it going to swing to one side? And then for the World Championship, that will be later in the year. We can then make, as a tournament admin and as a community, we can kind of make a conscious decision of, right, okay, how do we balance this? Do we need to nerf Dracula a little bit, or no? We'll see. But we'll see what the data tells us, and we'll work out from there. So that's Fury of Dracula. It's very cool. And I'm playing again, which is great. The best part of the year from the past year or so. I've not played very much, unfortunately. Just not enough time. And didn't compete in the World Championship. As I probably said in one of my other videos, if I got married in the autumn, so if I tried to play in that World Championship, I probably wouldn't have had a wedding. Is my cruise control on? I cannot see the thing on the screen that tells me if it's on or not. I'm just going to take my foot off the accelerator and see if it goes down. Yes, it does. Okay, now it's fine. So yeah, I didn't play in the World Championship, obviously with the New Blood tournament we've had on recently for newer players, obviously didn't play in that. So it's just really nice now to be able to say, like, right, let's play some games. It's a team tournament though, so it's a little bit different. So you're having to strategize with your teammate and trying to work out who should play Hunters, who should play Dracula against the other teams. So as of the time of recording, my team's doing pretty well. We've won 3 of our first 4. I'm the one who unfortunately lost the game, but it was very, very close. And it could have easily been another win for us if a couple of things had gone my way, but that's okay. It's all part of the learning experience. Unfortunately, the events were not on my side, but that's okay. These things happen. It's like any game, right? If you've got, especially you've got dice involved, but in this case we don't have dice, but you've got a pack of cards available to you in the game. Sometimes you're going to get the luck of the draw and you get the things you need, other times you don't, and that's just the nature of games. You've got to just try and work with what you've got, and sometimes you have to say, well, doesn't matter, I was going to lose this game, and that's fine. I've lived quite a charmed life with the game, winning 2 tournaments already, so, I can't really complain about how things have gone for me. But it's really good fun, really enjoying it. And just there's a whole buzz in the community, and there's just so many games being recorded, and it's just great to see. And there's lots of different people putting in their opinions and things, so it's great. Actually, today we recorded a 5-player match, so it's not often that we do non-1v1 games, just because they're very awkward to organise. It gives quite a lot of planning. But yeah, one of the other members of the community, Met King, managed to organise a 4v1 game. So I might also leave that, along with the interview I did with Nomad. I should say it's discussion. It wasn't really an interview, it's more of a discussion. I'll leave them in the description so you can check them out. The community 4v1 game was really good fun. It was really good banter between everybody. Unfortunately, the game did end in a crash, so there isn't a conclusive result, but you know, you can maybe sit there and hypothesize who's going to win and who's going to lose. So yeah, so that's keeping me busy in a good way. What else have I been doing? I've been playing Wingspan again. There's a tournament that got announced about 3 weeks ago, which was going to only be with the base game as well as the European expansion, so no Oceania expansion. And I said in previous videos that I wasn't going to get involved in Oceania just because, you know, I'd already learned not learned everything obviously, but you know, I was getting used to how the European game worked. I didn't want to then suddenly throw another, I don't know, 100, 150 birds from the Oceania expansion into the mix, and also the board changed a lot. If it was just the birds, I wouldn't mind, but the fact that the board that you play on changes and the way the resources are dished out is different, it'd be, you know, a new learning curve. And then I've seen it with players where they've played with Oceania, and then they go back to the European version, if you want to think of it that way, or the base board, and they're just like, what is happening here, and they can't play it. So I just wanted to stick with the European expansion, but for obvious reasons the community wants to do lots of tournaments with Oceania, perfectly understandable. So I've sort of taken a back seat from that for sort of 3-4 months. I haven't actually watched a lot of content actually. Then they announced this tournament, the Gregarious Grouse Extravaganza. And I was like, right, let's just take part in this. So as of the time of recording, I played all of my games, but all of them except 2 have gone up onto YouTube, so I won't spoil everything, but out of the games which are already on YouTube, I haven't done very well. Partly a little bit of rust with the game, but also then same kind of luck not going exactly in my favour either. But that's okay. I've had a lot of fun playing the game again after having taken a break for sort of 3-4 months. Yeah, hopefully I can play a little bit more, and then what I can try and do is record just a few games here and there, you know, in the evenings, and I could upload them over the summer, because obviously once July hits, I'm going to be away from my recording setup, and even if I did take my recording setup with me, I would be away from good internet. So yeah, I'm not even going to entertain the idea of trying to upload things onto YouTube over the summer. So I've got to try and bank up recordings. That's going to be fun in terms of time management. I'm going to have to sit there tomorrow morning. Probably be the morning that you see this video. I'm going to have to sit and try and plan everything out and work out how many videos I need. So yeah, I'll try and do a Fury of Dracula video every week if I can, and then throughout the rest of the week I'll have videos of other board games. I've been doing some stuff on Board Game Arena recently, which has been kind of nice. The videos haven't been very successful, but that's okay. Again, I'm just doing it because I like these games and I want to play them. So, and I think there have been a couple of people who never knew about the games before, so they've learned about them, which is really nice. And the videos are much shorter. You know, Fury of Dracula videos, you're looking at least 1 hour, maybe up to 2 hours, whereas these games on Board Game Arena are sort of 30-40 minutes. So, you know, I could upload more of them. Do a little bit of Wingspan. Again, Wingspan's sort of 30-40 minutes. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do over the summer. I don't know if I'm going to be able to post any of these sort of videos I would love to. I only need to really guess record 2 of them. Oh, shoot. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, white car. I probably just gave a heart attack to that guy. How not to drive. Yeah, I could probably record a couple of these, but I'm probably going to have to... Because I normally, in these videos, I talk a lot about what's sort of happening in real life. Which obviously, if I'm recording them in advance, that's not going to happen. So, I guess the way I have to do it is a little request then. If anybody's watching this, and can you, if you're able to think of ideas, obviously, in the comments box, can you maybe suggest some topics for me to talk about? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be something related with me. If you want to ask questions to me, that's fine. If you want me to talk about a certain thing, I don't know, that's happening in the world, or the news, or something, or something you want my opinion on, or, I don't know, you want to throw debate questions at me, I don't know. Any sort of topic, feel free to leave them below, and then I'll try to record some videos with those, and I can post them in July and August. So do that. At the moment, I'm kind of void of ideas of what to talk about. So feel free to leave comments below if there's something in particular you want me to talk about. So that's pretty much it for gaming. I haven't done even many convoys with the people I've been talking about in previous videos. Iron Batteries and CLG. I'll leave their links in the description. Just, yeah, timing hasn't worked out, unfortunately, in terms of, you know, I haven't done as many convoys during the week. I mean, I said I haven't played this game in a month. I didn't realize it was that long, to be honest. Yeah, I've just been unfortunately not able to catch the live streams, just because of the timing, and also just my work is a bit antisocial, so by the time I get home and have dinner, you know, the streams are kind of wrapping up. That's okay. There'll always be more opportunities. And yeah, as I said, not been playing this much during the week, so it's not like we've been able to do a spontaneous convoy or anything. I think I did one... Whoa! Well, I didn't get the crash penalty. I don't even know if I hit him. I think I did. But that was ridiculous. I don't know why. I'm sure I was indicating I was going to change lane. Oh, okay. Play a nice, relaxing game of American Truck Simulator. Have a nice, calm drive through Texas, they said. It'll be a good idea, they said. Nope. AI is already freaking me out. Anyway. That's kind of been it for gaming, to be honest. Even then, I'm trying to think all the stuff I've done with Board Game Arena. It's been about a month since I've recorded any of them, I think. It's going very fast. So the main thing that's been happening with me in my real life is, funny enough, playing this game and talking about driving, I've started learning to drive. I never got the license. I won't say exactly how old I am. Some of you watching might know how old I am. But I did not get the license at 17 or 18. I prioritised my studies, and then even though I lived in an area of Scotland where a car is somewhat necessary, and that's putting it mildly to get about, I just prioritised my studies at the time, and then once I moved to the city for university, never needed one. And then when I did my year abroad, I lived in a place which had excellent, you know, I lived right in the centre, so I was able to walk everywhere, I was able to cycle everywhere, so, you know, and even here in the town where I live now, even though it's not, Spain is not the most cycle-friendly place, because I live right in the centre, I walk everywhere. So, yeah, it's something that it's kind of necessary, and I need to do it, so, I started learning to drive. I did the theory test. I've been kind of studying over the last few months to do the theory test. I'm doing it in Spanish. It is possible to do the test over here in English, because they do have a lot of foreigners over here and they'll do it in English. But I was thinking to myself, well, I think I might have said this in the previous video, if I want to do the lessons, then the lessons are going to be in Spanish, so I'm going to have to learn the vocabulary anyway. So yeah, so I took a few months, studied the book in Spanish, and then now doing tests to try to practice. I actually did the exam a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know how it works in different countries. Over here, there are 30 questions, and you need to get 90% of them right to pass. So 27 out of 30. I got 26 out of 30. Very infuriating. Obviously, I don't like failing stuff, but if I did fail, I wanted to fail spectacularly. Not by 1 point. Very irritating. I mean, I had to now pay another 50 euros for the privilege of doing it again, which is infuriating. But oh well, is what it is. So I haven't done as much studying as I would have liked. Just time with other stuff. And then even if I do have time, it's like I find it quite tiring to do the tests. After I've done about 2 or 3, I'm kind of knackered because I'm having to read in another language as well, so it does tire me out more easily. I actually find it's easier to do it on the phone. I don't study as well on the phone, if that makes sense. But in terms of doing tests, I can do more tests. I can just kind of do it, you know, in breaks at work or on the move, rather than at my computer. I can study it properly, but I find it's more tiring to do it. So yeah, and that's going to be my other job for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow I've got, well, the day that you see this most likely, I've got a really nice board game session with friends in real life planned. We haven't played with them for a good few months, so that's going to be really nice to spend the afternoon with them. So then the morning, it's going to have to be, yeah, quite a lot of tests. I'm getting quite high scores, but the question is, can I get to A7? Sometimes I can, most of the time I don't, so we'll have to see. Nice little city skyline on the horizon there, is that? I'm going to show my ignorance. Is that San Antonio already?
Stay left.
Don't know. Anyway, it shows on this sign, most likely. Nope, that's not helpful. There's a... literally just telling me the street. Oh, it's Austin. Oh, okay, nice. Very good. So yeah. So even though I haven't passed the Fury yet, hopefully by the time Wednesday comes around, I will have passed it. We'll see. I've got the test on Wednesday. I've been doing some practical lessons. I've done 6 so far, I think. I won't count the first one, because I didn't actually drive much in it. I only drove for like 10 minutes. The guy was just, my teacher was explaining quite a lot of things to me. It's going quite well. I'm not the most coordinated person, so it's a little bit awkward, but I'm getting there. So we spent sort of the first 2-3 lessons in a really quiet little neighborhood where there's very little traffic, very few pedestrians, and he was trying to, you know, teach me the very basics there in terms of, you know, clutch and brake and stop and giving way. I did have to do a hill start at one point, so having to learn the biting point and all this sort of thing, which was nice. And then once we did that, he was like, right, okay, stage 2. And then stage 2 was a very similar thing, but in a busier part of town. And then basically there's a loop I could do between 2 roundabouts. I literally am just going backwards and forwards between these 2 roundabouts. It takes about, I don't know, just under 10 minutes to drive between the 2. So we're just doing loops all the way around that. And there are more pedestrians, there's more traffic, so I'm having to be a little bit more reactive to things. And I've only done 2 lessons of that. And he was like, right, okay, we're gonna... It was funny that we did one, and then we did the second one, and I was getting a lot more sort of comfortable with it. I was still messing up, because obviously it's a manual car, so I'm still messing up with the gears sometimes. I'm shoving it into 5th gear rather than 3rd gear from 2nd. But it's getting a little bit better. And then it was funny then when the lesson was kind of done. Normally what happens is I'll park somewhere, really basic, just like a parallel park, and then my teacher will take the car and then take us back to the driving school. But then this time we were just driving, and I was like, okay, we're finishing the little loop, the little circuit that we normally do. He'll probably take me somewhere and park the car, and then he'll take me home, basically, take me to the driving school. Then he was like, no, we're gonna go a different way. We'll go this way. He's like, all right, maybe he's trying to show me a different road, so I'm seeing different things, observing different signs. And then as we're getting closer and closer, I was like, there's nowhere to park. All these spaces along the side are already filled with cars. I'll have to keep driving. Okay. And then it suddenly dawned on me. I was like, wait, we're not stopping. I have to drive all the way to the driving school. That's much more in the center. There's a lot more stuff then happening. So we did go all the way to the driving school, and he was like, right, park beside this car. So I parked in the street beside one of the cars. I was like, okay. And he was like, we need to reverse. And I was like, I don't know how to. He's like, I'll teach you. So he like held my hand, metaphorically speaking, and very, very slowly we reversed into the space, and the space was massive. But when you're in the car for the first time, you're like, this is the smallest space ever. But no, it was fine. So I'm going to try and take all that on board. So he's already told me for the week coming up that we are going to basically go round like most of the center of the town. We probably won't go into like the really busy parts with like multiple lanes. We're going to go up all the side streets. It's going to be quite a sort of like saturated class, is the way he described it. It's just trying to build up my stamina to constantly being like stop, start, stop signs, traffic lights, pedestrians, other traffic, blah blah blah. And it just builds up that sort of now I've got like more or less the idea of controlling the gears and stuff, right? I've got to build up that sort of consistency and always being aware, changing gears, stopping, starting, blah blah blah. So we'll see how it goes. So I haven't crashed yet. I haven't knocked anybody down yet. So I will count that as a success for 6 classes. So we'll see. So yeah, those are taking up my mornings. So yeah, it does mean then if I've got them in the morning, I can't stay up extremely late at night, which is kind of a good thing for me because it means I get to bed in a reasonable time. It does mean often when I come home after the hour and a half, the fact I'm having to concentrate so much with the driving, but then also he's like speaking to me in Spanish for an hour and a half. My brain is just white, and I have to rest once I get home. That being said, though, as tiring as it is, and as much as I am having to concentrate a lot, obviously, because, you know, those of you who drive know you do have to concentrate, it's also very relaxing. It's like this really weird, like, sensation, where, I don't know, it feels... The reason why I'm saying it feels relaxing to me is just, for that whole hour and a half, I literally think of nothing else apart from driving. Work, out of my brain. Fury of Dracula stuff, out of my brain. Any sort of like worries or any sort of gone. It's just driving and nothing else. So that's really nice. I kind of noticed that how my mind is just very empty during that time, and I'm just purely focused on this one thing, which is good. I think it's really good for me. So yeah, we'll see how this week goes. I only had one lesson the week just gone, unfortunately, just because of we had a day off on Wednesday. It was a national day off because of Labor Day, and there was like driving exams, so I couldn't do class. But the week coming up, I should be able to get 3 classes, as well as at the theory exam. So hopefully this week I can make quite a lot of progress. So there's still a lot of things I've got to learn, but making quite a lot of progress, and yeah, I'm not detesting it. It's almost like a bit of a game that I'm playing. It's kind of like this thing I'm trying to like tap into my competitive side of my brain and kind of be like, come on, like this is a challenge, you can beat this thing, right? Rather than fearing it, I suppose. I do get a bit nervous at times, but I kind of realized quite quickly. I had one class, but I was so nervous at the beginning, and I just like, you know, you just make more mistakes that way. So I'm just gonna try to just concentrate, but not like get scared of it. No, it's good. So yeah, we'll see how this week goes, and I can give you a status report in a month, and we'll see how far I've got. I was initially hoping to try and do the practical test before the summer, but I think that's highly unlikely. Like, what are the chances I'm going to be ready to do the exam in like 6-7 weeks? I think it's highly unlikely, unfortunately. I mean, it's possible.
Stay
but well, we'll see. We'll figure it out. If not, I can maybe over the summer I can try and maybe practice with somebody else and then do the test in the order. We'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But so far it's going well. And yeah, I like my teacher, the way he explains certain things is really good. And the thing we do often is that once I've been driving for about 15 minutes, and because the lesson is normally 45 minutes, we always double it up, so it's an hour and a half each time. Once I've been driving for about 40-50 minutes, he'll sort of stop me, and we'll often have a chat about other things, and he'll sort of feed sort of theory into me, and like how to respond in certain situations. So it'd be interesting to see if that knowledge actually like stays in my brain and I actually do the right thing at the time or not. We'll have to see. So yeah, that's the main thing. That's the big thing that's been happening with me. It does mean then my week does feel a lot shorter just because my mornings are now completely freed up, or not freed up, but completely locked in by this. So it means then I have to take a little bit more advantage of maybe evenings to do certain work, but at the moment it's working okay. I'm trying to be sort of like, you know, not too sort of strict on myself and being like, no, at the weekend you deserve to relax, you don't need to, you know, you shouldn't work that much. Unfortunately, the nature of my work is quite repetitive year to year. So it means I can reuse resources and stuff that I've used in previous years, so things don't change too much, which is kind of nice. I've got that sort of, you know, yeah, so that sort of infrastructure in place, so to speak. So it's just purely the sort of the day-to-day stuff. I can kind of wing it, which is nice.
Stay left.
So yeah, that's sort of the 100 miles, perfect. So yeah, that's the kind of the main thing, learning to drive. As I said, yeah, it's with manual car, so yeah, fighting with the clutch all the time. So yeah, my wife, Mrs. Scottsword, is very adamant that we'll buy an automatic car at some point. I don't know if we will or not, we'll have to see. She's not a fan of having to muck around with the gears. It is a bit annoying, but at the same time, it is almost like a little bit of a game that you're playing with the car. My instructor did tell me that he had to drive once in America on the highway for about 6-7 hours, and he was just bored out of his brain. Because literally just, it was an automatic car, so you just step on the accelerator and you're just sitting there doing nothing. So I don't know. Americans, you can comment in the comments below. What do you think? Do you prefer manual or automatic? Did any of you learn manual? That's the thing. When you learn to drive in the States, do you learn to drive in a automatic car or a manual car? I know automatics are more common over there, but do you at least learn in a manual or not? So yeah, that's that. The other thing, my wife and I are very busy at the moment. We've got a lot of weddings to travel to, but it means I get to return to Scotland a little bit more often, which is really nice. So we've been to one recently, and that was lovely. Got the kilt out again after not wearing it for a few years. It's getting a little bit more regular usage, which is great. If anyone doesn't know, if anybody's not a native English speaker or maybe doesn't know about Scottish culture, basically you probably would have seen the pictures of Scottish men wearing a skirt at formal events. It's called a kilt. So yeah, I've got all the whole shebang here. I wore it at my own wedding, and then yeah, of course we've got obviously going back to Scotland. I'm going to take the kilt with me or hire a kilt, and it's great. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some nice weather for those. It's always unpredictable with Scotland. You've always got to prepare for rain though. But like all, you know, most wedding venues, they'll have like a plan B. They'll want to do it outside, but if it's raining, there'll be a plan B for it. so it should not disrupt the events and the order of the day. It's also just really nice, my wife and I both said it's just really nice that we're able to go to some weddings this year, and we can just enjoy it as guests, and we're not having to, think about it from the perspective of the bride and groom who have got to organise everything. Yeah. That's the thing, when you're at your own wedding, obviously it's a lovely day, and I'm not complaining at all about how ours turned out, but the day just goes by so fast, and I don't know how it's like in other countries, but in Spain, there's quite a lot of activities that the bride and groom have to do in between the different courses of the meal. They often have to give they often give presents to members of the I was going to say the congregation. It's not. I don't know if it counts as a congregation if it's not in a church. You give presents to certain guests, maybe to a future bride and groom. If you've got like the godparents, you might give a present to them, all that sort of thing. To the parents as well. So yeah, we had to constantly. We were eating our meal, and then the people who organised had to say, right, you have to go and give this present now, blah 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 blah. So there was a whole buffet that we had before the main meal that we basically saw none of it because we were busy taking photographs, and then when we did come into the buffet, we were literally so busy talking to literally every single guest that we had no time to eat. So we've got a wedding here in Spain later on in the year as well, so we actually can't wait. I'm just going to be permanently beside the jamon stand. I've already told my wife, if you lose me at the wedding, just find the jamon, and that's where I'll be. Because at my wedding, I basically ate nothing from the buffet. But I'm still not complaining. It's very different when you're the groom or you're the bride. So yeah, it's going to be very enjoyable, and all the weddings we're going to, we've got 5 this year. All of them are going to be very different in terms of style. It's really nice. Each couple are going to do it in their own way. That's really nice just to see them sort of inject their own personality and their wishes into everything. So yeah, we're going to be busy. Globe-trotting, I wish. Hopping back and forth. And it's going to be really nice because then obviously all this little bit of travelling that we're doing can sort of count towards our honeymoon. I've got to try and organise tomorrow as well if I can, our own honeymoon, and I've really messed up this corner. How not to do it. That's the funny thing actually, when I was driving, I don't know what lesson this was, maybe like the 3rd or 4th lesson. When I was going to turn in the car, instead of turning like as imagine like just a normal left-hand turn or right-hand turn, and make it look like a question mark, I would actually sort of pull out a little bit and then make the turn. And the guy was like, "You're not driving a truck." And I was like, I didn't say anything, but I was like, uh-oh, I picked up bad habits from Euro Truck Simulator. And American Truck Simulator. So I've had to kick that habit. Which I'm going to make a turn now. Oh, that didn't go well. Well, that's a little bit better. And we're here. So that's a nice wee drive. Oh, 40 minutes, perfect. So I'm going to have to rest. I don't know where I'm going to be able to go and rest. That might be a problem. There we go. And we can go and we can do another job. It's only 45 minutes. Easy do one more. I'm getting some encoding overload messages, but I think it's only a couple. That's a lot of achievements as well. You're not seeing them on the screen. It's a bit of a shame, but I'm getting loads of achievements. Also saying like some like it's salty, but I wasn't carrying salt, so I don't know what all that's about. So that's where we are. So where can I go to rest? Where would be the closest place? Oh, there's a place literally right around the corner. Ooh, excellent. I should maybe go here and I can go and discover this place as well. So let's do that. Should we go through the town? Yeah, let's go through the town. Yeah, let's go this way.
do this.
Let's do this. Oh, now I get the sleeping offense? Really? I'm on my way to the hotel. You just stop. Oops. Now, see, in Spain, I drive on the same side of the road as I am in the game. I do get a bit paranoid when I'm turning, especially when I'm turning right.
Turn left.
I feel like there's never enough room. I gotta be careful not to take it too wide, because then you start invading the other lane. Oh. Oh yeah, what? Is this right? I've got to turn left? Really? I don't want to go that way. That's not the way I want to go, game. I want to go this way. The GPS really calculated. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. You're trying to get your head around how much space there actually is on that side of the car, so you don't end up clipping corners. But at the same time, there's more space than you think, which is kind of nice. Yes, I'm going to rest, game. I'm going. So needy.
Stay left, and then turn left. Turn left.
Oh, I can turn left. Nice. Off we go. Oh. I almost went across that reservation. Just
Stay
a
left,
bad idea.
and then exit left.
I should probably get fuel here, but I'm just going to go this way. So I can discover...
Exit left.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's why I can't go around this way. Oh, the game was right. Oh, there's no way for me to turn left here. Ah, okay, that's why. Oh well, we'll take the scenic route. Even though it's in the dark, so you can't see much. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to rest, I'm going to rest. What else has been happening recently? Oh, I know I did my Desert Island Discs in the previous episode. I've been listening to a bit of music recently, but kind of just sort of on and off. I think in terms of the band that I'm going to try and, if I've got time, to deep dive into their discography is going to be Ginger. I think I've mentioned them before.
Turn left.
I've been listening to them, especially their most recent album, quite a bit. But at the same time, they're a band that I should listen to more. I think there's a lot of stuff that I haven't rediscovered from them. They're actually, if you don't know about them, they're from Ukraine. Actually from the eastern side of Ukraine. And I think they've released, I want to say 4 albums at this point. They've been quite sort of famous in terms of like the YouTube space and that, because of their vocalist does both the clean singing and also like growling guttural vocals, but it's a woman, which you can imagine catches people out when they react to it. There's a song in particular called Pisces, which has this very sort of like contrasting style between the verse and the chorus. And it's become really famous on YouTube for reactors looking at it and listening to like the nice clean vocals, and then the chorus kicks in, and this girl just starts growling so hard, and they're like, there has to be a machine, she can't be making that noise. You're like, yep, that's her. And she does it live as well. I mean, that was a live performance in the video, but she does it live in concert. It's very impressive. Yeah, it's a really cool band. I don't know how I even discovered them, to be honest. That I don't remember now. it probably would have been at the time I was just trying to find heavier and heavier and heavier music. But it's not like I've ever seen them live. So it's not like they've been recommended to me that way.
Turn left, then turn left.
I don't think I discovered them from Pisces either. I don't remember now. Terrible memory for trying to remember how I discovered bands.
Turn
Anyway.
left.
Here we go. Oh, we got a new truck dealership. Nice. We'll go in here and we'll take a little rest. No, try and find a new job. So yeah, but they're not a gimmick in terms of, you know, the fact you got, oh, we got this female vocalist that can do growling vocals. They're in terms of just as a group of musicians, they are so good. Hard to describe their type of music. Obviously, it's very heavy. It's also kind of jazzy. It's really weird. It's imagine like really heavy metal and jazz like smashed together. That's kind of the vibe that they're going for. I don't know much about, you know, the theoretical side of music in terms of like time signatures and stuff, but when I watch like quite knowledgeable people do reactions and sort of analysis of their music, they say that they're using quite wacky time signatures, which is interesting. There's a little, well, 1,000 miles, although it's quite long. We don't want to do something as long as that. Now, we want something a little bit like that. Utah, New Mexico. We're going to go through a place called Junction, which was quite a funny name for a town. Could do that. Some, I can't remember what LPG stands for. I've said that before on camera, I think. Is that low petroleum gasoline? Is that the translation? Would be G for gas? Not sure. Or gasoline? Not sure. Anyway, we'll take that. Yeah, they're just a really sort of tight group of musicians. It's just the music is just, it's the more and more you listen to it, you just hear so much sort of intricate details and it's stuff that I can't describe. I don't know what is really happening from a theoretical standpoint, but it's just very cool to listen to. And they mix in a lot of genres. They've got a song in particular called Judgment and Punishment that has like a reggae section in the middle. And there's a song I've been listening to recently from the same album, which is called Home Back, which is actually about what was happening in Ukraine, but before the full invasion. Obviously, some of you might know that
Time to get the job done.
before the full invasion of Ukraine, Russia went and occupied the Crimea region in the south of Ukraine, and then they also they're having a little bit of skirmishes, a little bit of warfare in the east around sort of the Donetsk region, and obviously especially the fact that Ginger from the east of Ukraine, they wrote a song called Home Back, which was talking about it, and obviously I can't even imagine what on earth they'll write about now that the full invasion has happened, or attempted, I should say. So obviously they didn't get as far as they thought they were going to. And even in that song, a song which is just brutal in terms of, you know, the subject matter, there's a little section in the middle that almost turns into, I don't know, like kind of almost like lounge jazz, a little bit of kind of soul, and then wallop, you get hit really hard again with like these really brutal growling vocals. I know for many people, like, the growling vocals could be a huge turn-off. Indeed, for a time, they were for me as well. You get used to it, which is not a very good sort of defensive. The way to think about it is you need to get, like, if you're finding the brutal vocals quite hard to listen to, think of it as a tool. Don't think of it as a, like, purely as singing. Think of it as a musical tool. And they're there to convey emotion, right? If you've got, there are some bands who'll just scream or growl for the sake of growling, but if you've got a band like this where they're able to sort of switch it up between the soft and then the brutal and the harshness of those growls, it's there for a reason. It's there to convey emotion. It's to make you know, a certain lyric to have more impact and to emphasize that switch in style. So if you try to think of it that way, and don't worry if you don't understand the lyrics, right? I'm really bad at interpreting lyrics at the best of times. So when the singer is growling, then I find it really hard. But I try to look at it in terms of like liking the overall sound of the song, and then appreciating the vocals comes next. That's kind of the way to think about it. For especially a band like Ginger, where instrumentally they are so good, and just there's just so many like little intricate things happening where you'll every time you listen to it you'll discover something new. You can almost I don't say ignore the lyrics or ignore the singing, because you can't, because it's such a such an critical part of that sound of theirs. But if you appreciate it from the instrumental standpoint, then you'll just come to like the vocals over time. And that's kind of what happened with me with Opeth. And a band like Gojira, for example, once you start appreciating the instrumental, then yeah, you don't mind about the vocals, and then you'll just get used to hearing vocals like that, and then you're away.
It's all over now.
So what I kind of want to do with Ginger is, because I don't obviously understand a lot of the lyrics when I listen to them the first time around, especially when they're growling, I want to try and like print off the lyrics or listen to the songs with the lyrics, and I can try and analyze them a little bit. In particular, the song Home Back is very powerful. Some of the lyrics that they've come up with, some really clever stuff. Do that again, because that wasn't very well done. Nope. And you failed your test, son.
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Yeah, there's a couple in particular, like, obviously the song is about war, so that's, you know, that's strong enough as it is, but it's just the way throughout the song there's almost like these probing questions, like, it's almost like the person whose mind you're in when you're listening to these lyrics doesn't know what's happening, and they're asking these questions, like, the one in particular, like, oh, is that an angel hanging over us, or so I can't remember exactly what the verb is now. Let me see if I can sing the song in my head and I'll be able to work out. Well, maybe it's a watching. I think that's it. Yeah. Is that an angel watching over us? No, it's an air fighter making a fuss. And you got a lot of this, especially at the beginning of the song, this sort of stark contrast between these sort of innocent sort of images, and in fact it's all military based. And then one, two, the really cool one, asking if it's is that noise a mermaid singing? No, it's a siren screaming. And again, really clever because of the double use of the word siren. In Spanish, for example, siren and mermaid are this. Siren is a mermaid. So very clever. And just, yeah, brutal. So I want to try and do a little bit of a deep dive of their discography in terms of listening to the sort of the older stuff, sitting out there with the lyrics, and trying to sort of get my head around what it is they're saying. They do songs about other things. It's not just purely about the war. They do other things as well. They talk about society. There's a really cool song called Wallflower. I didn't know what a wallflower was. That wasn't a word that I'm very familiar with. I don't know if in the UK that's a very common term. But then obviously learn it means like an introverted person, and I think in that song the singer is very much talking about herself. So yeah, there's some really powerful stuff in that. So I definitely want to. I'll leave a link to their Spotify in the description. You can check them out. And maybe in the next... Oh, I should be giving away here. Oh, we're good. I can maybe do a little review in the next one about particular songs that I enjoyed. I've listened to their 2 more recent albums. Haven't gone back to listen to their older stuff. I should. And then the stuff that I have listened to, I need to sort of dissect it a bit more. There's one in particular from the most recent album that they did. They released it with a music video to promote the album. It's called Mediator. And I love that song. I will happily put it on any day and listen to it. It's very cool. From what I can understand, it's kind of a conversation about the state of society. And it's a fantastic song. But I was then shocked to realise when I listened to some interviews with them where they were discussing the making of that album, that song was not even meant to be on the album. It was kind of oh, well, we're not too sure, maybe we could have it on, maybe not. But then when Tatiana, the singer, put her vocal to it, it just elevated the whole song, and they're obviously like, yeah. And it's funny that, because I've had it with, when I've listened to Alter Bridge as well sometimes, how these songs that maybe at the beginning, when, at least with the initial conception of the song, band may be like, I don't know, are we feeling this song? Maybe not, maybe it could be a B-side, or we'll see. Ends up being a really big hit, or a song that they use to promote the album with, or whatever. It's just really funny how that happens, or even then, once the fans get a hold of it, a song that is maybe, the band like, obviously, because they wouldn't release it if they didn't like it, but if the band maybe believed that the fans would gravitate towards particular set of songs, the fans might gravitate in the other direction. It's interesting how that works. With Ginger is kind of interesting too, where obviously they start off really heavy, but then, not that they got softer, I think that's kind of misleading, but they tried to incorporate other styles into their music. But then the most recent album they got recorded during the pandemic and the lockdown, and they came back really, really heavy. You can just tell that a lot of bands were so pissed off being trapped indoors and they couldn't tour and all this sort of thing, and they just made really, really heavy stuff. Whereas maybe the previous few albums, they were trending, I'm not saying they were becoming a pop band or anything, but they were, becoming a little bit lighter. They really came back with a vengeance, which is really, really cool. So I don't know when Ginger are going to release new music. They've got a live album coming out later this month, which I'm very intrigued to hear. But I don't know when they're going to release new music. But I could definitely imagine there will be, I would assume anyway, that there will be references to the war in there, which would obviously be very, very hard for them to write about, but at the same time you have to write about what you know, and music in particular, but especially metal, even though it sounds all very aggressive and angry, a lot of it obviously depends on the person. There will always be people who will use it for, malintentions, but in general, metal is quite, peaceful, and you use that anger and you channel it in the creation of the music, and you get it all out of your system. It was kind of I don't know if I said this in the previous video, maybe I did, or maybe I was saying it to somebody else off camera, I don't remember, but there's a whole thing about how
Go straight.
listening to Ian Rankin, who's a really famous crime writer in the UK, he said in a talk once that if he gets all of his anger out in the books, if someone's wound him up and had a bad day, he'll just create a character out of them in the book and then kill them off or whatever. So then in real life, they're all really chilled out, happy people. So he said, maybe fear the people who write romantic novels, because they get all the romance and all the love and all the happiness out onto the page. And then what do they have left in real life? Obviously slightly tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, I think it might be the same for metal music too. You're just able to, you use it as a, as a vessel, as a way just to channel all of your emotion, whatever the emotion is, into the music, and just, liberate you as much as you can from, it's like, so much music now is, you know, talking about grief or mental health or aspects of society that you don't like, or things like war and all this sort of thing, and greed and corruption, because those are the topics that basically, you know, piss people off, and they want to they channel it into something positive, which is, you know, music, and everybody else can enjoy it. Then you get obviously you get a lot of metal music too, also based on mythology and history and all this sort of thing. It's very, very diverse as a genre. Lots of things to talk about. There'll be a metal band for everybody, in terms of style and in terms of, you know, subject matter. Here we go. We're on the road again, heading off to New Mexico. How long will it take us to get there? 10 hours. Okay. We'll get there
Go straight.
before the rest stop, which is perfect.
Stay right, and then continue straight.
What?
Go straight.
I don't know what that light means. I assume that means I can go. I don't know. I don't know why that truck didn't go. Maybe they were stopping, and maybe I had to stop. I don't know. I don't know. We don't have those in the UK or in Europe either. That was flashing red, not flashing amber. I don't think. Maybe I had to stop and give way. I don't know. I'm so sorry, people.
Go straight.
Speaking of Ian Rankin, actually, I haven't read books for a while, but when I went back to the UK for the wedding recently, waiting in the airport before the flight back to Spain, and went to a little bookshop there in the terminal, and I was like, right, I'm going to buy a couple of Ian Rankin books. So I bought them. I bought the two most recent ones. So I should really sit down and start reading them. Maybe I might do that tomorrow if I wake up in decent time. I'll sit there with my cup of tea in the morning and read maybe for an hour. I do miss reading. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I just find it's just too easy just to pop onto the laptop and play a game. So I need to get into good habits. So yeah, if you don't know, I don't know if again, I might have spoken about this before, but I don't remember. I think most of you would have zoned out if that's the case. Yeah, I've read quite a lot of Ian Rankin's novels. Firstly because it's based in Scotland, which is great. It's in Edinburgh, which is a city that I just adore. It's great to sort of, you know, hear about these places that the characters go and oh yeah. The main police station in Edinburgh where the detective was based was actually, you know, not far away from where I used to live, and I used to pass it quite often, so it's yeah, just funny how it all works out. But yeah, basically, it's kind of an interesting story actually, and Rankin didn't mean to write crime novels when he was doing a PhD in literature, and he decided, oh, I'm going to write my own book rather than studying. And he didn't mean to write a crime novel. He wanted to write a novel that was more sort of reflective about sort of Scottish society and social commentary and all that sort of thing. But he needed a character that would be able to sort of access different areas of society that he was going to probe, basically. And he was like, well, how about a police officer? Because technically, you know, the police do have access to pretty much everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you know, political power or not, you know, the police can investigate you. So, you know, it gives you that access to all different walks of life. And that's what he was interested in. So he created this character called John Rebus. And, you know, John Rebus was actually meant to die at the end of the first book. But fortunately he saved him, and that was a good decision, because he's now written, I don't know, like 25 books or something about him. So, yeah, good decision not to kill him off. But it's really cool too, because then you see sort of like, you know, Rebus, like a lot of sort of like, you know, detectives, not in real life obviously, but you know, in terms of books, he's a bit of a maverick. He doesn't do things by the book. He's from the older generation, who, you know, he doesn't follow the rules necessarily, which means he gets into trouble and all this sort of stuff. And then you contrast that with the newer generation, who are a little bit more sort of, you know, strict in terms of following the rules and all this sort of thing. There's a really good one that was done. I can't remember how many. It's probably now about 15 years ago at this point. Ian Rankin wrote about a different detective. Basically, John Rebus goes into retirement. So he's like, oh crap, now what do I write about? And the thing is about the books, which I think is always really cool, they're written in the modern day. So he never thought about writing a book where you go back in time. Actually, they're going to release a TV series of Rebus very soon, actually. And it's actually going to be about Rebus going back in time and seeing a younger version of him, which is kind of interesting. But, you know, the Rebus novels were always written in the present day, more or less. So Rebus was aging, always. So then, when he had to go into retirement, he was like, right, I've got to try and find another character now. So he created a new character who operated in the, I think they're called the Complaints Department. I think that's what it's called. I think even the book is called The Complaints, and I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read it. But he created this other character who's a cop, but his job is to investigate other cops who have maybe not followed the rules or are corrupted and whatever. So it's kind of like this really weird position for this cop, because he... Obviously, criminals hate him because he's a police officer. But also other police officers hate him because he's investigating them. It was a really cool character, and to create someone a little bit different, who's got his own, you know, issues. He was a mainstream police officer, but then I can't remember exactly why, but he ended up having to work for the Complaints. He was going to do like a stint at the Complaints and then return to sort of mainstream policing and detective work. And then there's a book where then suddenly, after a couple of books of this character, Malcolm Fox, Ian Rankin suddenly learned that the retirement age for Scottish detectives had increased, so it meant that technically Rebus could come back. So he was like, oh goodness, I have to get Rebus back now. But then there was a book where Malcolm Fox was then having to investigate Rebus. So it's really interesting how he'd spent, you know, 2 or 3 books at this point, creating this character of Malcolm Fox, and the readers of society were sort of empathizing with him because everything was being viewed from his perspective, blah blah blah. To then suddenly, him jumping into a Rebus novel, where suddenly now this Malcolm Fox is almost like not a villain, but like the antagonist to Rebus, and seeing then all the fans kind of shifting their opinion of him and all this sort of thing. Right? So it's always the way, right? Depending on the way that the perspective is framed, you could feel sympathy. Wait, sorry. You can feel sympathy for somebody who you shouldn't. Same thing we were talking about it a couple of lessons ago. What am I talking about? A couple of episodes ago with Breaking Bad, right? How I said, you know, the first time I watched it, and I think a lot of people felt the same, where they were always rooting for Walter White, they wanted Walter White to win, but then when you watch it again with hindsight, you're like, oh, good grief, this character is really messed up. The fan base hate the wife character, Skylar, but then in hindsight, you just look at it and go, oh, you poor woman, how much you've suffered. So it's just always the way, it's always going to be with, you know, books or TV or whatever, where depending on how you're framing, you know, the perspective, who is your main protagonist, who you're looking at, you can make, you know, you could have a potentially very evil character, but you want them to succeed because of the way it's been described or framed, which is really, really cool. I can't wait to read these next 2 books, and see if Malcolm Fox is back, what Rebus is up to. I think because he is now retired, but he's working kind of as a freelance sort of detective consultant, basically. Yeah, we'll see what he gets up to. I know, I'm really behind in terms of reading and also films and stuff. It's just, yeah, not enough time in the day. I haven't watched any series either since we last spoke. Done a pretty bad job of that. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a bit of an itching to go back and watch the original Bourne trilogy of films. They were films I loved when I was a teenager.
Stay right, and then exit right.
Yeah, I've been kind of itching lately to watch them. I don't have them with me. And I think the only way I can get them over here is
Right.
I'd have to pay for the privilege to watch them on Amazon. So I will not do that. I'll wait until the summer, and I've got the DVDs back in Scotland, so I have to dig them out. I haven't watched them for a while. They're good. Maybe watching clips on YouTube. I've watched them so many times, and in almost every permutation. And sometimes I just watch one individual. Oh, I'll watch the Supremacy today. I'll watch Ultimatum today. I don't know. I have to watch them all back. I like them all as a set. That's the thing. They all complement each other really well. And again, it's kind of interesting in sort of the framing of a character, where you've got somebody like that who's it's very different to like a normal action hero like Bourne or something, who is, you know, part of the establishment. You got a character there with Jason Bourne who's, you know, outside the establishment trying to work out what is happening. If you don't know the basic story, they're actually based on novels, but the plot of the second and third film, Supremacy and Ultimatum, they're not actually based on the books. It's just coincidence that they're the same name. The first one's quite similar to the book, but it's obviously in a modern setting. Because the novels are from the 1970s or 80s, I think. And basically, the idea is of the film, not the book, because maybe there may be some differences. In the film, not really a spoiler, because that's how it starts. This man gets pulled out of the Mediterranean Sea with 2 gunshot wounds in his back by a fisherman crew, and basically he wakes up with amnesia and he doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't know how he ended up in the Mediterranean, why he got shot, all this sort of stuff. So basically throughout the whole film, and then in the book it's the same, he has to try to discover who his identity is and what is happening. Yeah, basically, without revealing too much, maybe tell if you've seen trailers of it or whatever, that he is the CIA get involved and all this sort of thing. It's really cool. I really like the first 2, especially since they are based in Europe. There's a different sort of grittiness to them, which maybe you wouldn't get in the States so much. So in the third one, yeah, in the States it's set in New York. Again, it's a different feel, but it's very sort of like you go all over the place with those films. You got scenes in Paris, in Berlin, you got New York City, India, Morocco, Naples a tiny bit. Where else do they go? They go through like Zurich and the Alps, Moscow. So there's a lot of different locations, and the sort of you get the different style of architecture and everything. It's really nice. I know it's not the popular opinion in terms of critics and stuff, but I prefer the second one. And there's a little bit sort of more of an anger and grittiness to it, which I really like. And the car chase at the end is just mad, but also sublime at the same time. Like a lot of car chases, it's a little bit unbelievable, but not in a kind of ridiculous sense, if that makes sense. It's just full of action. I think I really like that film in particular, especially towards that end there, because you see a real sort of like tension for, know, the protagonist. That even though he finds himself in a lot of dangerous situations over the 3 films, he has a lot of intelligence and knowledge of how to get himself out of those situations. But that's like one of the main moments in the trilogy where you think he's really met his... And obviously you know nothing really bad can happen to him since there's a sequel to it. There's that moment where you're like, oh, he's in a really facing dire straits at that moment. And it's good to see that sort of, you know, almost fragility and like desperation in a character like that. Because often when you get an action film where the character has insane fighting skills and insane knowledge, they can just weave their way out of situations so easily. Whereas here you really feel like he's got his back against the wall. Which is a really great watch. Yeah. So yeah, I need to... Probably a job for the summer. I'll sit down and binge those 3 films. I've seen the other 2 as well. The Bourne Legacy, but obviously the character of Jason Bourne isn't in it. I can't remember much what happens now in it, to be honest. I've only seen it once. And then I did see the new one in the cinema when it came out. I say new, but it's not that new now. It came out like 2018, I think? No. I think maybe 2015. Oh, I don't remember now when it came out. 2017? It's been a few years now anyway. Well, I mean, I've been in Spain since 2019. It was definitely way before then. So yeah, I think it's about 2017 if I remember rightly. And that film was good, but it's... The trilogy's just perfect. It nicely bookends itself. It didn't have to create more, necessarily. But again, I've only seen the film once or twice, I think, so I'm going to have to watch it again and review it. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, no series yet. I've got a lot to watch. I know the Fallout series has come out, so I should watch that. I know The Last of Us has been out, and I want to watch that. I haven't watched it. So I haven't got round to Better Call Saul. I mean, kind of terrible. It's not enough hours in the day.
Stay left.
So try and find time, or not, over the summer. I'll have to catch up. Even on YouTube, I'm trying to think, like, I've been watching quite a little bit of political stuff lately, but not very much. Just trying to, if I'm watching stuff on YouTube, just trying to make it as educational as possible, which can be difficult sometimes. Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of gaming stuff, really. Not even many board game things. I was watching one, I was in the middle of watching one before I started recording this, because for my birthday, that was recently, my wife got me a game called Isle of Skye. And I did watch a video about it a while ago, but I can't remember how to play it. So I like watching videos of people playing games before I get the box and play it myself. Because there's nothing I don't like more than, you know, getting friends around the table to play a game. And then you say, I haven't played it before, and then you open the rule book, and it's like, explain. I didn't get the crash penalty, but that's really annoying. I'll blame OBS. I was actually looking at OBS. I don't know why there's nothing on OBS to look at. I don't believe it. Wow. I assumed all the cars had gone, and they're all just going to start driving. Goodness me.
Go straight.
Unbelievable. Anyway, yes, I don't like explaining rules for games at the table in terms of like learning them myself. I like to watch somebody play, so you get a little bit of idea too about strategy, and you can kind of then guide the other players a little bit, and then you explain it more, which is good. Also, then you don't hopefully have mistakes. So I've seen people before try to explain games on the fly, then there are loads of mistakes. Yeah. So I'm checking out that. I haven't checked out many other board games recently, and even gaming, like watching a little bit of Wingspan, and obviously then Fury of Dracula videos. Even then, yeah, I haven't watched as much as I should. And then just, yeah, I've been watching stuff, trying to keep it as educational as possible. So I feel like I'm actually learning something. A series, I might have talked about it before, I can't remember, but a series I'd really recommend if people want to find a good YouTube series to watch is called Jetlag, the game. It's made by the same guy who has the YouTube channel Wendover Productions and Half as Interesting. Basically, it's him and two of his colleagues. So you've got Sam and Adam and Ben. And basically, in every series, they have like a travel challenge, basically, to do. So they make a country or the world or whatever their board game, if you want to think of it that way, and they do challenges inside it. So the fact they're all American, they've done some things in America, but then they've done other things in Europe and in Japan. So to sort of give you a flavor of what they've done, they played Connect 4 across America. So literally, they had to go into the different states and complete challenges. And if you completed the state challenge, you'd get the Connect 4 counter for that state. And if you got 4 states in a line, vertically or horizontally, then you won the game. They did Capture the Flag in Japan, which is really cool seeing them run around on the bullet train. They've done Tag twice across Europe. People who don't know what Tag is, I know the name changes depending on region or country. Tag is basically the game you play as a kid in the playground where one of you has to chase after everybody else. If you manage to catch somebody, then they're the person who has to chase everybody else. So we call it Tag. Again, depends on the region. In my country, there are loads of different names for Tag, but I think Tag is the most common one. What else have they done? They did a race in New Zealand where they had to go from the very top of the North Island to the very bottom of the South Island, but they had to do challenges along the way. And depending what routes they took, then the challenges were different, which is kind of neat. They did one in America that was very similar, where they had to go from the very top of Alaska all the way to the bottom of Florida. But again, they had to complete challenges along the way. Sometimes the challenges are individual, so you have each team or each member of the game will have their own deck of cards. There are others where the challenges are communal, so you have to try to then maybe try to beat another team to a certain challenge depending on your location. They're all really good fun. They also did one where they had to try and circumnavigate the world in 100 hours. That one gave me anxiety watching it because they were literally going into airports and then going, right, okay, we need to try and book a flight out of here, but we can't book a flight out of here because we don't have enough like in-game currency. So we have to do challenges to earn currency, but they won't let us leave the airport, so we have to book a really, really cheap flight to leave. We won't actually take that flight, we'll try and take a different flight later. And I was like, oh my goodness, how are you not stressed out? And trying to apply for visas like literally a day before landing and all this stuff, I would not be able to do that challenge. That'd be insane. I'm going to try and take a picture here with the sunset because this is beautiful. Sorry, breaking the realism for a second as we go into the photo studio. There's probably another way I could have done that, but never mind. I'm still on the move now. Hey. That is a ball of light in the sky. Just trying to take different angles and then I'll work out later what I want to do for the thumbnail. That's some nice ones. Cool. Which I think, what are my favourite ones? The initial Tag across Europe was the one I discovered their channel, and I thought it was a really cool idea. They did one that was called Battle for America, which I thought was better than the Connect 4 one. They literally had to go around the states, and if they completed a challenge in a state, they would claim the state. But the difference was, if you claimed 2 states bordering the opposite, or the opponent team's state, you could battle for it, which is a really neat idea. So it's basically whichever team had the most number of states at the end of the game would win, but there's also an area bonus. So you couldn't just run around and get all the little ones. If you got like a really big state like California or Texas, then that would potentially give you more points, which was a really nice idea. I really like that one. Capture the Flag one was also very cool. I did like the New Zealand one. Funny enough, they said, I watched a little interview with Adam, one of the members, and he was saying that, yeah, in terms of the algorithm, that one didn't do very well, but I thought it was a really creative series, actually. I really enjoyed that one. So yeah, we'll have to, and they did one now where they, the most recent one was Hide and Seek Across Switzerland, which again was very enjoyable. So I definitely recommend that you give them a watch. All the episodes are kind of like 30 to 40 minutes long. And they're really well edited. And they're also like, even though it is like a challenge, and there is a competition, it's also filmed from the perspective of comedy. So there's quite a lot of funny jokes and moments that happen. It's not this really like ridiculously serious like try-hard series. I mean, it is because they want to win, but at the same time it is very much framed through comedy, and some of the edits are great. You have one of the people taking part will say something and literally cut to somebody else doing the complete opposite thing they expected or whatever. Why do I have to... How do I turn off here? Have I got to get into the left-hand lane? Yes, I do.
Exit left.
I will. Oh, and I've got to give way here? Oh, nice. How is this okay as a road structure? Seriously. As a road layout. This doesn't feel very safe at all. So they're all really cool. We'll see what they come up with next. They do one once every 3 months, more or less, because then you got about 6 weeks of episodes, then 6 weeks off, more or less. So the new one should be coming out fairly soon. So we just see. I think they're doing it in Australia. That's right. They've already announced it's in Australia. So yeah. Definitely worth to give it a watch. Some of the games they play with just the 3 of them. Quite a lot of them, they do it in 2 teams of 2. So Adam and Ben are always together, and it seems like the majority of the fan base want Adam and Ben to win because they're really funny as a pair. There's an ongoing joke in the series where either of them, or normally Ben, has to get drunk, and he gets drunk quite quickly. They literally just run into a bar and they're like, "Give me 4 shots," and he takes the shots, and then he's just white. But they claim challenge and they get the in-game currency or whatever the prize is for completing the challenge. So it's really, really cool. Really ingenious sort of ideas they come up with. And it's just incredible, like the amount of ideas they come up with. And there's so many challenges that you don't see because they don't get played, because they've got a whole deck of cards. So they think of so many ideas. So yeah, they're basically working more or less full time on this jet lag now, where they've got to try to come up with all these different ideas. It's a very, very cool series. And then if you do have, 2 teams of 2, then Sam would almost always pairs up with another internet personality, most of which I don't know, but they've had the guy who does Real Engineering, Real Life Law, which are another educational channels. One for in New Zealand, they actually had a New Zealander go with them, which I thought was a really nice idea. So you get like sort of more local
Stay left, and then turn left.
YouTube personalities taking part, so it's really neat.
Turn left.
So definitely worth a watch. I don't know if I was to recommend one to start with. I guess it depends, like what. Just literally, I have the list of the games I've just listed there. If there's one that appeals to you, just pick it. I think in terms of like, yeah, overall enjoyment, I think actually the Battle for America was I think one of the best ones. The first tag was good too. The second tag was also great. But I think because the map was the same, maybe if they'd shifted slightly in terms of where in Europe they were for it. Might be a little bit different. They've never actually been to the UK yet for a game. I haven't been to Spain yet either. So hopefully at some point they'll be able to do it. Technically, with the tie across Europe, there was a possibility of them going to the UK, but spoilers, it didn't work out that way. Very enjoyable. That's been it. I haven't even been watching. I mean, driving off the road because I'm looking at OBS again. OBS is a killer. I mentioned, I think maybe in the previous episode or one before it, that one of my other hobbies, I shouldn't say hobby, that sounds really weird to say. One of my other interests is watching documentaries about airplane crashes. So I just find it really interesting to sort of learn, even though I'm not an engineer, to learn from sort of the engineering side of things, pilot psychology, all this sort of thing. I think it's really neat. And some of the production values now are amazing. Like, it makes, you know, aircraft investigation, you know, those documentaries that are on TV. They just, yeah, blow those out of the water in terms of the detail that they go into in terms of the final report and all this sort of thing. And obviously they don't have actors and things, but they use the flight simulator programs now to produce really sort of detailed, you know, views of the cockpit and, you know, replicating, you know, what the pilots would be experiencing and hearing and all this sort of thing. It's really neat. I haven't even watched many of them recently. Firstly, because the ones I do watch, they take a little bit of time for them to produce. But yeah, also just trying to, you know, just... Also, it also depends on the algorithm. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't show me these things, and they'll show me other things. I find the algorithm on YouTube, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, I find the algorithm on YouTube changes very, very fast. If you just start looking at a couple of random videos, suddenly then your feed is just dominated by that type of video. And then everything else is like, no. The one I'm now thinking of, which is kind of the case, is there's a TV show in the UK called Taskmaster, which is a really cool TV show, and I recommend everyone to watch it. It's basically kind of a light-hearted competition show where you've got 5 comedians, or normally it's 5 comedians on it every week, and they have to do basically silly challenges. But the way it works is every episode in a series you'll have the same 5 comedians. It's not like other comedy shows where there'll be like a rotating like panel of comedians. In this one there'll be, say, anywhere between 6 to 10 episodes in a series, or in a season. Sorry, Americans, in a season. But the 5 comedians stay the same. So you actually kind of get to know them in terms of like their personality and the way they're thinking. Like this narrative develops throughout the series where maybe one of them's doing really poorly, but they make a sort of real comeback towards the end. One might be dominating at the beginning, but then they're not doing so well at the end, and so on. It's the whole competition between them. And basically, yeah, they get set these really stupid challenges, and they have to try to work out, you know, who is the best at completing the task. And basically, then the Taskmaster is a guy called Greg Davis, who is this really imposing, you know, 6'5", you know, character, maybe more than that, more than 6'5". He also used to be a teacher before he turned into a comedian, so he's got this very sort of imposing look about him. And he just basically sits there and he watches the footage of all the people doing the tasks, and then trying to decide who should get the most points. And he's got an assistant, Alex Horn, who's actually the creator of the show, alongside him, who is there basically to try to help out the contestants with the task, but also to annoy them as well. He helps and hinders in equal measure. He doesn't actively hinder, but he sometimes isn't helpful. When the contestants are trying to ask for advice about the task, he's like, all the instructions are on the task, and all this sort of thing. It's like, can you help me, Alex? No. He's not like trying to stop them from doing the task, so to speak. But the tasks are always created in a way that will be open to interpretation. And as the series have gone on, the tasks have become a little bit more elaborate. but that's funny because then you get to see the way that these comedians try to work out how on earth they can impress the Taskmaster. In the earlier episodes, the tasks were more basic, but that's kind of normal. You'd expect the tasks to be more complicated as they go on. So the one in particular from the first season that I can remember that's really funny is the contestants are told that in a different room of there's a house that they use to do quite a lot of the filming, apart from when they do the live sort of studio bits. So they're in the lounge and they get the task, and the task says, right, in a different room there is a melon. You need to eat as much melon as possible within a minute. So you see them all like approaching it different ways. Some of them kind of realized, oh right, when it says melon, it literally means a melon, not already cut up melon. So some of them enter with knives. One of them just walked in and went, oh, there's a whole melon. Oh crap, I need to go and get a knife. And then they're struggling to cut into it. And obviously the time is running out. And then another one runs in and literally picks up the watermelon and smashes it on the floor, and then has to eat the watermelon off the floor. So it's just there's like all the variation of interpretation of how you should do the task. And there's often like traps as well. There'll be things written on the task saying, if you do this, you automatically fail the task, and then they'll do it anyway. Or maybe written at the back of the task, there'll be an extra instruction that they didn't see. There might be hidden information. So there's one in particular that's very famous where they have to build a bridge, and out of like random materials that they found, like chewing gum and straws and all this sort of thing. But then underneath the table that they're building the bridge on, there's all this constructing equipment, like wood and nails and all this sort of thing. But if you don't look under the table, you don't see it, but there were clues everywhere. That on the table that they were building on, there was a little boat that had written on it in Spanish, under the table, and all this sort of thing. And the contestants get very angry when they suddenly realize there was an easy way that they could have done it, rather than them struggling for 30 minutes trying to build this bridge that kept collapsing. It's a really, really fun series. So yeah, the cool thing is what they started doing is they're putting clips on YouTube, but they actually put full episodes on YouTube now, because they realize they've got quite a lot of international audience that are unable to watch it. Where is that train? I don't know. So yeah, the most recent, say 4 or 5 series, they've put all the episodes up on YouTube. So if you just type in Taskmaster, there's hours of entertainment there for you. It's a really, really fun series. But talking of the algorithm, I've been watching that series every week, but because it's a once a week thing, there'll be then the rest of the week on my YouTube where I'm not watching it. And I just suddenly realized today when I sat down and started watching something else on YouTube, I was like, wait, Taskmaster was out yesterday, because it's out in the UK on a Thursday night, but on Friday it gets put onto YouTube. And I was like, wait, there's a new Taskmaster episode. Why isn't it on my YouTube homepage? And my algorithm just over the last week has just basically kind of reset or like screwed itself up, and now I've got like lots of random content that I just clicked once is now on my homepage. And then things I generally want to watch, like maybe like a Wingspan video or Taskmaster, is now not on my homepage, which is very annoying. So yeah. When I've wrapped up this recording, I'm going to go and sit there in bed and watch Taskmaster before bed, I think. And a lot of them, the people who are taking part in Taskmaster, they're comedians that I don't know, because I'm really out of the loop now. The way it works, I don't know how it works in the US, but in the UK, there's a lot of like comedy panel shows and things. And the comedians basically rotate around all of them. So if you watch a certain series, a certain panel show, you'll get to know all of the sort of current comedians on the circuit, because they'll all appear at some point. And all of it's kind of like the way I saw Americans on YouTube describe it, is almost like comedy incest, in the words like that all these comedians like join each other's TV shows and things. So a lot of them are all like quite good friends in real life because they see each other so often on not only on the comedy circuit but also just they'll do a TV show, then suddenly they'll be with 5 other comedians that they all know and that kind of thing. But because I'm not living in the UK anymore, I'm not watching these comedy shows very much, so I don't know a lot of these new comedians that are out. So they're all new to me. But it's really cool because like there's always at least one that I'll know. But then over the course of the whole series, you kind of get to sort of grow and like the others. You get used to their habits and the way of thinking. And the thing is, it's like, it's a comedy show, but it's not them trying to do stand-up. So even if you don't like their stand-up humor, you might like them in the series, because they're just given a random task, and they have to try to complete it. And they don't even have to try to be funny, they'll just be funny in the way that they try to complete the task. You know what I mean? It's not forced in that sense. Which is really great. So I definitely recommend that you check that out. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy. I do know that they did one season of Taskmaster in the US, but it was not successful and it got cancelled. I don't think the format worked very well. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that explain why, so I won't go into it. But yeah, the way it was done was not done. Sort of, it wasn't a very good homage to the British version. Whereas they've actually done versions of it in New Zealand. I think they did one series in Spain. I know the New Zealand one is very popular, and I think I can't remember what it is. It a Danish version or Finnish version? I think there's a Scandinavian version of the show, and I have actually watched it because they did put a couple of episodes up on YouTube. And I did find it very funny, even obviously I didn't understand what they were saying because it was all in whatever language. But the way they completed the task, like they got like the remit, they understood what the show was about, and they replicated, obviously in a slightly different way because of the culture and the humor and stuff. But they understood what the show was about. They understood like the tone of the show, which is really important. I think the main thing they were talking about in the American version were, firstly, because the episodes were very short, so you didn't develop the same, there wasn't the same number of tasks and the same sort of rapport with the group as you would do normally. Wait, how on earth am I getting a sleeping offense? Have I been driving that slowly? No, we're almost there anyway. Oh well, I've had no crash offences, but I've had loads of sleeping offences this session. We're in a different town in New Mexico called Clovis, but it's dark, so you can't see anything. Sorry about that. So yeah, the episodes were shorter, so they weren't able to sort of get the same sort of atmosphere with the edits and all this sort of thing. Because again, it's very similar to Jet Lag. They'll do lots of like really funny editing with that show, which we weren't able to do with the episodes being much shorter. And then also it was just way too almost competitive, which sounds really weird. Like the British version is very competitive, but in a sort of like almost like childish, like petty kind of way, rather than just being outright really competitive and not realizing it's meant to be for humor. But, yeah. I don't know. Difference. There's a big difference. I think that's one of the main things between Britain and America, is in terms of like the way the humor is done. It's quite different. So, things will work in one culture but not in another. That's very... that's always going to be the way. So we're almost there. So yeah, a bit different today. In fact, we've stayed pretty much in one state until the very end. We're just inside New Mexico. We've done 2 jobs rather than one long one, but I think it was a nice little drive. And even though I came into this video with no plan of what to talk about, I managed to talk for almost 2 hours, so hopefully there was something from this that you enjoyed. Feel free to leave comments below if so. And if it kept you company, then
Stay right.
that's all I ask for.
Then turn right.
As we get more sleeping offences.
Turn
I cut the corner, am I going to smash into this guy? Nope. Okay, that almost went wrong. But
Get ready to turn right.
will do.
Turn right.
There we go. Oh, I somehow still managed to sort of clip the curb there. Oh well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little episode. And as I said, I hope you're all doing well. Feel free to leave a like and a comment. As I said before, if there's any topics that you'd like me to talk about, so I can have things to talk about for videos over summer, then feel free to leave them below. If you don't want to comment, or if there's nothing you can think of, that's absolutely fine too. Not a problem. Apologies for the little bit of lag during this episode, but in general, it's behaved itself, so that's good. I do need to upgrade my laptop at some point, but at the moment, as I said before, with loads of weddings and travelling to go to, it's not going to be anytime soon, unfortunately. But that's fine. That's okay. Priorities, right? There we go. So we'll say goodbye to New Mexico at midnight. It's wheel drive, and really nice to come back to this game again. Really chilled out, apart from some of the AI nonsense in the first drive, but that's okay. There we go. So I don't know where we'll go in the next episode. We might be starting off from Clovis, we might not be, just depends if I play any of this game in the meantime. We'll see, maybe a DLC might have come out by that point, I don't know, we'll have to see. But they're making loads of progress. And they've also, there's an update with this game too, which is currently in beta. I've been so out of the loop, I don't know what they've done. I know they've added lots of new stuff into California too. So there might be new roads that maybe I haven't driven on yet. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. Again, I've just been really out of the loop. So anyway, so I'll go back to the truck. You can see a parting shot of the there you go, of the truck with the moon and the night sky behind us. And I hope you all have a wonderful month of May, and I shall see you in another video, whether it's for this, keeping you company if you need it, or Fury of Dracula, or Wingspan, or another board game, as I get a sleeping offense, very soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.